Okay, welcome back to my spiritual experience with your host, Brother Sadiq. Today we have a new guest in the house. Today we are interviewing a friend of mine, just recently met. She was in my home not a week ago, and today we're doing an interview. And I'd like to welcome to the show Nicole Stonier.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. And I see that your name's on your little your camera says Moonbeams Love.
That's my business name.
Ah, okay. Very
Yeah,
good. Very
yeah.
good. So what is your business before we get started?
MoonBeamsLove, that's the website. It's intuitive consulting, energetic body work, um, all encompassing of shamanic work, mediumship, clairvoyance,
Very good.
tarot readings.
Very good.
You
Okay.
name it, we'll do it.
All right. That sounds very interesting. Well, I am very excited about this. This sounds like you've had quite the journey, and that's what this show is all about. Like I always talk to my audience, and I try to tell them this show is about making spirituality more common, more every,
Mm,
what they call the water cooler talk, right?
love it.
Yeah, yeah. And so if we can make our spirituality as common as speaking about the weather, I think we'll advance our species by doing that. So
I couldn't agree more.
yeah, yeah. Well, this is my effort in that, and that's why I have this show. So we won't hold any longer. We're going to get started the way I always start. I like to ask all of my guests the same question. When do you remember your first spiritual experience, or what we might call an experience you had outside of the normal everyday walking life?
Yeah. Looking back, I think my first experience wasn't an experience that I realized in that moment.
Yes.
I was 3 years old and we lost my uncle tragically. And through losing him, I started to channel spirits who had crossed over.
Wow.
And at the time, again, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but I was speaking on his behalf to specifically my grandma, his mom. And I would do it all the time and I would make her cry. And I didn't know what I was doing, but now, and I always felt a very close connection to him. And again, I was only 3 years old. And he and I feel like we had a strong energetic tie. Like if he would have been here, we would have been very, very close.
Right.
And I feel like even though he passed on, we still held that energetic
Connection.
bond.
Yeah, yeah, very good, very good. I have to ask, most people who are watching would probably have no idea what the experience of channeling is like. So at 3 years old, you're channeling. What is that? What is channeling? Is it something? How does that happen? What is the experience like?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's different for different people. Um, I choose to not see them typically because I don't want to feel crazy and I don't want to look crazy. It's my own personal experience, but I hear them. I hear them and I can see them in my mind's eye. And in the fifth dimension, I can see the energy of them sometimes. But again, I've asked them, I've put a very strong boundary on seeing them in public and things of that sort. So it's just more of I hear them. I hear them is the strongest part of that kind of channeling.
And so when
So,
you were three, that's what you were hearing your uncle?
yes. Yeah, he would whisper messages to me when I would be hugging my grandma and I would tell her things that he would say. And looking back, it must have been something because I remember her reactions to them very clearly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and children at that age, of course, there's no ulterior ideas behind what you're doing. This is just
right.
what is it, your open channel, and this is just what's happening. And so I'm sure
Yeah.
she experienced it as a, you know, a shocking scenario, right? Like,
Yes,
yeah.
very much so.
And so that was 3 years old. That's pretty exciting. And so I'm listening. I'm just all ears from here. Just go forward as you remember these patterns, experiencing and expressing in your life.
Yeah. Um, I had a very traumatic experience myself at 6 years old.
Mm,
And so I feel like my elementary years, it was there, but suppressed.
yes.
And come high school, it really came back again. I remember when I was 10 losing my great grandma and just feeling very connected to death. And my uncle was explaining death to me. But again, I remember now looking back, I understand I was channeling my great grandma for my Nana, which was her daughter. And it happened on Christmas Eve. And I really, like my grandma told this story all the time of just how I made it so much easier for her to process and accept what had happened that day.
Mm,
And again, I think I was channeling, but not really understanding it.
right.
And then in high school, it really started coming through when I was talking to my friends. I would just start saying things, and this is beyond mediumship. I think this is where my intuition started to kick in more
Yeah.
and more for other people. And I felt crazy
Could you
from,
explain the difference between mediumship and intuition? These are wonderful terms, but I don't know
yeah,
that commonly understood by the
of
average.
course. Yeah, no, thank you. Mediumship is, when our loved ones cross over and you're hearing messages from them to their loved ones or people that they need to communicate with, whether it's, because they have regrets and they need to explain something, or they just really feel the need to send a message to somebody. And a lot of times I've had people, come back and be like, I've been searching for these answers for a very long time.
Mm,
And I know they came through you. I could feel it. And it just brings them a lot of peace and a lot of clarity. Um, Intuition is, again, it feels and looks different to each person. That gut feeling in your stomach,
right.
that's your intuition. Or just like, I knew that was going to happen. Or, oh, that's funny, I had a feeling, so you pick it up in different ways. And some people are very visceral, and other people, they just hear it. And for me, intuition, it's just a knowing. It's a deep sense of knowing. Um, I want to say I get that gut feeling, but it's deeper than that. It's just, and sometimes it sounds like a whisper in my ear, kind of like it would if a past loved one had come through. And I'll see it in my mind's eye. I can get visions or see colors of things. So intuition to me is more of your higher self guiding you, or God, or the universe, or spirit guides, angels.
Mhm.
Um, Again, it can look like many different things to many different people.
Right.
And for me, I just try to keep my intuition an open channel. So whatever's supposed to come through in whatever way, I want to be a conduit for those things.
Yes, yes, very good, very good. I consider myself to be a conduit as well. I don't know that I'm channeling, but I do feel the necessity to express to other people, to other souls, um, higher energy.
Yeah.
So I feel like just in the sense of consciousness, I'd prefer to act and present and to express into the world that way.
Yeah.
So not channeling though. I don't think that I'm channeling.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, because sometimes channeling can look like, me seeing future things for people
mm,
um, that I don't understand always, but they'll come back and say, that happened.
Right. Right. Right.
So yes, I guess that would be kind of the difference of being a conduit and then channeling something that's channeling other people's energy, other people's, their energetic field, I
Right.
guess you could say.
Other souls, other spirits, other beings.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Good. Very good. Well, if I'm channeling another being, I'd like to think it's God.
Blessed be. Me too. Yep, yep. We're like this.
Yes, yes, yes. So, yeah, let's go forward. You were talking about your teenage years, and I interrupted you, and I'm sorry, but yeah, you
No,
were.
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the teenage years, they were tough. I lived in a lot of darkness and I didn't understand a lot of things. Like I grew up in a fundamental Christian home and I was sitting with friends who were having a hard time and I would just start speaking and I didn't even know what I was saying. I certainly didn't know what I was doing. Um, and I was very lost in like a loose cannon. A person of the wild west with their abilities, I guess you could say.
So you say you would start speaking and you wouldn't know what you were saying. These would be things that would be addressing your friends' situations, but
Yeah,
you were not, like, when you say you weren't aware of what you were saying, was it like you weren't there and it was coming through you, or you were saying things that were much deeper than you had studied to understand?
absolutely. It was so much deeper than what I could comprehend. It was so much deeper than what they could comprehend,
Mm,
especially on an emotional level. I just things just did not, yeah, well said. I don't think I've ever been able to put it quite in those terms, but that's exactly what it was. Um, I didn't understand what I was doing because again, I had grown up in this fundamental Christian mindset. And the whole time it never really, something felt like it was missing for me, growing up in that setting. And I felt very distant from it. And I feel like when I would go to church, it was more of a bird's eye view of it versus embodying what they were saying to me as
mm,
my truth.
mhm, mm.
Um, and then I became a mom in high school,
Okay.
and his name is Sam, and it's God Has Heard, Samuel. And I feel like he was the being that pulled me out of that darkness and gave me purpose and put me on a path for really starting to understand my spirituality.
Sam is your child or the guy who you got the child by? I don't.
He is my oldest son.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause when you say Sam, you say he is Sam. I wasn't sure if the guy that you got pregnant by in high school was Sam.
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no. Samuel is my son.
Yes.
Yeah, whom I had very young. But he did. He put me on the path of my spiritual path, I would say. Um, so I started college and my
Before,
next realm, go ahead.
I don't want to cut you, but I do wonder about, you mentioned, so at 3 you had these abilities to channel.
Yeah,
You also spoke to your grandparents and different family members. So
yeah.
how was this gauged in the family, within the family? How did they gauge you? What did they, how were you taken? What do they say about this? What is the insight that they have about this, or fear that they have of it? How is it received?
It wasn't received.
Hmm.
It was avoided. I was sensitive. I was weird. I was the black sheep. They just never understood me.
Hmm. That
Um,
that's common, and I mention that
yes,
because there are so many of, I think we are moving into a time where there are so many youth who will have special spiritual awareness and gifts, and
absolutely.
it causes them to be isolated.
Yes,
And so for them to understand that this is kind of part of the path,
it is. I'm writing a book about this.
I too have this experience, and
Yeah,
many that I've spoken to, and I think it's very important for us to kind of relate that commonality
Absolutely.
Yeah, because as these youth come in and they have these heightened awarenesses,
Mhm.
that'll be their experience. And so if they understand it as a part of the experience, then it
Yes.
won't be so lonely.
Yeah. There was a moment when I was with my therapist who really understood all of me. You know, I called her my little spirit guide because she was very clinical, but she also understood spirituality. And I had a moment where I saw my whole timeline if the things I hadn't gone through hadn't been there.
Mm,
And I realized in that moment, would not wish any of those things to not happen to me because they've all been a part of that path and bringing me to where I am now. And it was a real powerful moment for me to understand, like, we go through these traumas and this darkness to understand and get to more light and understanding and that knowing and that relationship with source.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Um, there is a Baha'i quote that I often like to reference in relation to pain, and it's about well, it's not. I'm not going to give you the perfect wording, but it's basically the idea is that the trials of life and they resemble outwardly to us fire, but
Yeah.
inwardly they are light.
Mm.
And so the trials that come toward us, they cause us to, when we're acting righteously, they cause us to bring up these tools, our spiritual tools,
Yes.
and utilize them in the highest and the most correct way. And on the other side of the pain, there is a new experience of understanding that is a
Yeah.
broad perspective that you cannot have if you do not go through that process.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah,
And I mean, I've tried to kill myself. I've been through what I would call for myself the deepest, darkest parts of my soul with pain and suffering. And I wouldn't take any of it back because of what I've learned and what I've received through those things.
yeah. I agree. I agree.
Nothing but blessings.
I agree. I don't want to make this show at all about me, but we're having so many things that are just like bing, bing, bing. Uh,
Well,
just
we are one after all.
yeah, yeah, very true, very true. And there is no mistake in anything that's happening here. So I
Yeah,
don't believe in coincidence. And in fact, someone gave me a book called "There Are No Coincidences."
there are no coincidences.
Yeah, I fully agree. And so the idea of traversing hard obstacles and on the other side. So like I said, it looks on the way in, it looks terrible, it looks frightening, it looks scary, it looks daunting, it looks like you can't win.
Yeah,
But the process starts and you go into it and you call on source, you call on friends, you call on spirit, you call on whatever
yeah,
tools you use to get through it. You call on strength,
yeah,
you call on power, you call on direction and guidance and
yeah,
understanding. All of these aspects of self that you try to utilize to master your way through it. And if you
yeah,
do that with a good heart and a righteous intention and
yeah.
a clear focus of staying a good person on the other side,
Hmm.
then that fire becomes light.
It does.
Yeah,
Ask and you shall receive.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, if you have that pure intention of the highest, greatest good for yourself, you will find the things that you need to pull you through that.
I agree and believe that.
I was working on a client the other day and we were working through PTSD and a very traumatic experience. And I have an Oracle deck and I pulled a card and it said, nothing has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong.
Right.
You know, and I believe timing is so perfect. It's the only perfect thing that we have in this planet is timing. And it's perfect because we can't touch it. We can't actually get our hands on it and control it. And so if it's perfect, then we can't fail because timing is always in the divine right moment. And if we can't fail, then it doesn't matter what we've done or what we're doing. it's for our greater good, you know? And so nothing's gone wrong. Even those things that you don't want to live through anymore, they are there for a higher reason,
Yeah,
always.
yeah, yeah, and that reason is generally what they call manifest. So
Yeah,
you get one aspect of it, but as you move forward, you'll be like, oh, and
yeah,
wow. And so,
yeah.
yeah, it'll continue to express
Mhm.
the elevation and the education of its process in your life as you go
Yes,
forward. So
absolutely.
that's what it means. Like it's a manifest lesson. It
Yeah,
continues. Yeah. And
yeah,
so that's a wonderful thing. And I recognize that most of the people who I interview and most of the people who I interact with intimately about spirituality have had deep traumatic experiences. And I
yeah,
think it is a necessity because of where we are, who we are, the times we're in, and the
yeah.
consistent spiritual disconnect of the majority of the people.
Mhm.
And so without you having to have had these deep experiences, there is a lack of translation in processing for those people who need your assistance.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
know, when you study the shamans in like South America and stuff, like they'll tell you like to become a shaman, 99% of them have had a near-death experience. You know, I told a client the other day, the universe is the mother of all hazing. We have a real initiation process we go through to be able to show up for others. You can only go as deep with one as you've gone with yourself.
Yeah.
And I believe that, and I want to practice what I preach because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree. So we're totally off track. Good conversation, but we need to get back to your story.
Yeah. So, see, college
Yep. And you had a
was, yeah, philosophy class
okay.
was a game changer for me when
Okay.
they started talking about heaven and earth and like everything separated. You know, we as humans have separated everything. Like something just clicked in me. And I just took that philosophy class and I mean I got an A+ because I was all in. It just blew my mind to think beyond what I had been taught my whole life. And it really did. It set me on a path of just thinking differently and not allowing and allowing that. Allowing, you know, whatever thought process, however I want to, whatever feels right in that moment to you gotta sorry. Um yeah, so sorry. I had visitors pop in my house and I didn't know they were gonna be here.
Okay. Are we
So
talking real human
okay.
physical visitors or are we talking
Oh no, humans, my daughter.
okay. That's fine. That's fine. I was
My beautiful daughter.
wonderful.
Yeah, and so I think that kind of just started help it opened the door to me to just connect to source how what resonated with me,
Yeah.
you know, and to just let go of everything, all the conditioning and all the ways I'd been taught and just let myself think freely
Mm-hmm.
and feel freely in that. And I mean, it was tough years, but again, I don't know, I just kept thinking about like the laws of the universe, you
Mm-hmm.
know, beyond scripture and all these things. And over the years, I've learned a lot of I've studied a lot of different religions and different spiritual paths,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I had my daughter, and that brought in my intuition, I feel like more pulling a woman through from my lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and she actually came to me when I was 16. I heard the name Reagan and I said, I'm going to have a little girl named Reagan someday.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got pregnant, I knew it was her. So there were moments in high school where I was hearing things and I believed them.
Right.
And then I put it on the bookshelf for, you know, so many years later.
Right.
Um, and then my great grandma died. And I didn't understand till later in life. I had a shaman woman tell me, who was channeling her for me, that I helped her pass crossover. Um, I mean, I was there all the time with her, and I was feeding her and taking care of her. And she was having a hard time letting go and moving on. And she told this channeler that, I showed up one day and she was again trying to crossover. And she thanked me for my spirit being there, helped her find the light and let go and move on. And I was like, whoa. And even backtracking, my grandpa died when I was pregnant with Sam, and death always felt so, I just felt it so deeply. And I want to say I took it hard, but I think that's how it was perceived. But I think I just was really feeling them moving on now that I understand more of what I do. I've helped many people cross over, and I've helped families in traumatic experiences move through that on the other side so they can come back without all of that energy still with them, if that makes any sense. So it's kind of, there was a lot of moving parts. I had the spiritual aspect. Go ahead.
So when you say come back without all of that energy, are you meaning reincarnation?
Yeah. Like when they come back into this earth plane, not bringing all of that trauma, anger,
Right.
with them. It's kind of like a fresh start.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's mediumship, but it's also helping people find the light, helping them move on, helping them find peace. A lot of times when spirits cross over, especially if it's been fast and they weren't, didn't see it coming, it can be very confusing for them. And they're trying to understand what happened. And they kind of go through a grieving process in a way. Again, especially if it's fast and very traumatic. And so to just kind of help them understand what's happened, and help them move through it. And at the end of the day, a lot of people get scared thinking about ghosts and spirits in their house, but it's like, it can feel that way, but really they're just trying to find the light. They're just trying to move on into the other realm. And some of them do have a hard time doing that. And I've been a part of all my grandparents' passings now. And I understand now that that is part of my calling, as an energy worker, is helping people move on, move to the light. And then once they are, I can talk to them and help them, get messages through. So yeah, and amongst all of this, I got into Reiki because my sister, who's a massage therapist, she signed me up for a Reiki class and didn't ask me, just did it, said, "You're going with me." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I don't know what this is, but sure." And so I took the class.
Heard of Reiki even?
Huh?
Had you heard of Reiki at that point?
No.
Oh, okay. Explain a little what Reiki is to those who may not know.
Yeah, so Reiki is
energy.
It's an energy healing. So we have our physical body and we are energy.
Yes.
And so it can be hands off, or it can be, you can put the hands on. A lot of people will do this. These are like the Reiki hands, and move through the body. They talk a lot about your chakras, which are the energy wheels of the 7 main energy wheels of your body, connected to colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv. And each of those chakras, those energy wheels, hold different emotions. They're connected to different parts of your body. And so, and Reiki is an energetic way to connect and heal the body physically and emotionally and energetically. And it can be light touch or no touch. And what's interesting is those first trainings, I was doing far more than Reiki and didn't know it.
Okay.
And nobody really explained to me. I didn't really know what a shaman was at the time. But it was just, I feel like my intuition opened up a lot.
Okay.
And I started doing things intuitively, that was not Reiki. And so then I started getting books and reading, and I got into a lot of Native American history and culture and rituals. And and then I was learning, the Reiki and all of those. So all like Eastern Western medicine just started pouring in. And that kind of led me to a yoga training. So then I got to learn like about Hinduism. And so it's just all of a sudden, all these things started coming through. And it was soon after my Reiki training that I had a lot of suppressed memories from my childhood and my traumatic experience come up. And so amongst all of this learning, I started having to really do some deep healing work as well. But I had these resources right there ready to fall into with them. And so it ended up becoming a very integrated studying healing process.
Yeah. Sounds like there may have been a outside invisible hand guiding that situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds like
Absolutely.
with the integration of your own healing, after you've gained some fair amount of insight on how to heal others,
Yeah.
that's like divine timing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely divine timing. And it's only grown from there. That was kind of the foundation I laid. And the more I, evolve and practice my own meditation and things, it's like everything's just getting stronger at this point and just growing more and more clear to me. And a confidence in knowing that what I'm doing is real.
Yeah.
you know.
Very good. Very good.
So,
Well, how long have you been a practicing? Right. So many titles. I don't.
I know. What title do you pick? An all-encompassing something.
Yeah, this spiritual hodgepodge of wisdom that you are. How long have you been studying, do you consider?
I would say a good 13 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was doing yoga and then training in yoga for about 20 almost
Okay.
now. So yeah, but actually being able to work on people, and I started that journey long ago.
Well, I like to think that what we're doing in life is helpful to other people, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
and so with the opportunity to have like worked with so many people, where do you think you got like this desire outside of your own experiences to like so you feel like traveled and you studied with different teachers, so like
Yeah.
give a little insight on that.
Insight on which part? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, yeah, that was a kind of a loose question. On your teachers, on the people you studied with and studied under.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting because, being a young single mom, I haven't got to travel much at all, really. But they've found me right here. I didn't have to leave, my yoga teacher, and I studied under a Rastafari for over a year, and my Reiki teacher master. Gosh, there's been so many of them. Um, and again, they've all went through their own initiation process.
Yes, of course.
And just powerful shaman medicine women too. They're not afraid to travel in the darkness,
Yeah.
and to really feel and to face their fears.
Yeah.
And through that, I witnessed them just expand into their light. And it was powerful. And looking back, it's like they really did. They held me in a beautiful space to move through my own stuff and learn and grow through them.
Yeah.
All walks of life, all different walks of life.
Yeah, that is actually a wonderful idea and expression. That's what, so I have a vision that I'm working towards, that I'm consistently working on, that I'm bringing into reality. It's called My Brother's Library Incorporated,
Mm,
based on the idea of the variety of people who I've learned from,
yeah,
right? And so
yeah,
the idea is like a play on words. So it's like my brother's library, like the
yeah,
library of my brothers, right? So,
yeah. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. And so that's a vision that I have for, what I consider my work towards the kingdom, right?
Yeah,
I feel like that's what we're here. I consider myself a kingdom ambassador, and
yeah,
that those who I intend to express this energy of love and light and goodness and God power that is in me, everybody, right?
hmm,
And I pray to do this in just, the most subtle ways and the most direct and effective ways, right?
yeah.
Because
Amen.
we're not always aware of the subtle things that we're affecting, right?
It's true.
Yeah,
And it may not make sense till some time later, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I agree. Well, I am curious. In our meeting, I imagine you can see and you can feel energy. So, was there anything that you got from me, or that, or that you wanted to share, or that you thought you should share?
About you?
Yes, energetically, spiritually. Were there any?
Yeah, no, I meeting you has just been an incredible experience because I have felt you with me here and there since we met. Um, I think of you and I saw your name on a bottle in the bathroom at my work. I've been in that bathroom hundreds of times. That bottle has been there a long time, and I don't even remember what I was thinking of. And then there was your name on this bottle. And I
Mhm.
just walked out laughing because I was like, I just feel very connected to you, and that our work is very parallel, and that purpose and that calling and being so close to source, and just feeling like, you're somebody who really understands source and can hear source loud and clear, and there's no denying that. And that's other people are very drawn to that, and you're already a master within yourself, it's, um, there is a higher calling, and I love your purpose and your vision, and I can feel it and I can see it. And I got so excited because, one, I can talk to somebody about all of this stuff because in my world, this is normal.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
I'm understanding is that's not the norm for most people. Most people don't see that or think like that, or even want to talk about it for that matter.
yeah.
And so, yeah, to have somebody with a shared vision and a calling and a purpose, it brought my soul a lot of peace, to have a
Very
kindred spirit.
so appreciative to hear that. I'm flattered as well. I didn't expect to hear that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
of
that
course.
is interesting because I definitely felt a kindred spirit,
Yeah,
uh, and
yeah,
that we will probably be doing work in the future together.
yes, for
Definitely
sure.
that. But it's interesting that you say this, is because I am really in a point of learning this about myself. Like, that is what
Mm,
I pray about. I've questioned, like, how am I perceived by others? How am I really
yeah,
coming off? Right? I don't. You don't know how people see you or what they
right.
from you.
Yeah,
Your intention. You know what you hope to relay, but you don't
absolutely.
honestly know. And so that's actually been something I've been trying to understand about myself. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I appreciate that, and I take it and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
the people that I'm starting to see in my past who maybe I made uncomfortable or didn't really like me, it's like that's their problem. And I must be doing something right if I'm making people uncomfortable.
I like to say, you know, I'm gonna be honest. I'm like a hermit because I understand that. So like you said, this is a thing that what you mentioned. You said how we don't tend to understand that the way we think or the things that we talk about aren't as common
Yeah.
as we may think they are because
Yeah.
they're normal to us. This is what we talk about. Is what we study.
Yeah.
This is what we're into. You know, it's what our
Yeah.
friends know we talk about. So you know,
Hmm.
associations that we have know that about us, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess being in our bubble, in our box, there is a perception that everyone thinks that everyone should know, you know,
Yeah.
that there is a common knowledge about our spiritual lives, and there is not.
No, and I want to believe that we're pioneers to
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
And one day, parapsychology will be more than just paranormal. It will be all encompassing of all these things we've been talking about. And I want to believe that, you know, we're pioneers of a future where this is mainstream
Yeah, I
and it's
100%,
normal.
I 100% agree. And in fact, like I said, water cooler talk.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
for
And so
sure.
that's the
I'm
whole.
already at the water cooler.
Hey, they know what they're getting when they come to me. So
Yeah.
you know, and I don't mind. I mean, I think it's becoming more acceptable. I think we're moving into a time where, you know, like you said, it's us having to take the fullness of our responsibility.
Mhm.
What we're really doing is, you know, like if we're going to get to the core of it, all of it is God, and we're just
Amen.
examples expressing as we can in this world.
Yes.
And now
Yes.
if we can reach our fullest potential, then we can be
Mhm.
great examples for other people, right?
Yes.
If you know where I come from, right? I come from, you know, what they call it, black bottom Detroit, right? Thugs,
Mm.
drugs, murder,
Yeah.
thieves, crime, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
Yet I come looking for my soul. I come looking for my spirit. I come
Yes.
looking for why am I here? What is the
Yeah.
purpose of this all about? Are
Hmm.
there tools that helps me advance? And is there a way to act that causes me to lose? You know, this is the questions. These were the questions for
Yeah.
me all my life. Like,
Yeah.
so when I talk to people and I, you know, my friends tell me, bro, people don't think like that. You know, my sisters say the stuff you talk about, people think is like sci-fi. So there you go. Once you realize that, you're like, oh, okay, you know, so
Yeah.
you have to be more selective in who you speak to, and it, you know, all of
You
these.
do and you don't. Because if they're not hearing it, you're planting a seed.
Very, very true. Very,
They
very.
may not know it now, but somewhere down the line, it's going to come back to them. And you have to trust that.
I do. You are 100% true. In fact, I've told some people who in my life decided to not be in my life that ultimately
Mm.
will understand how
Yeah.
all this you know, works and what I was and who I was and why I was and what this all links together to be. It might not
Yeah.
be in this lifetime, but
Yeah.
ultimately you will see clearly who we all
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's true. And the timing of when you really show all of yourself,
Mhm.
again, you just have to trust that that is what's meant to be, and I think as a reader, that's one thing I would encourage of you is don't hoard your energy, share it.
Me?
Don't be that hermit,
Are you,
spread that love.
is that a personal message for me?
Yes. We can, because I learned that during 2020, actually, like that it is possible to hoard our energy, you
Yes,
know, for multiple multitude of reasons. But when we're doing that, when we're being that hermit, we're not following our purpose, and we're also doing a disservice to others, you
I
know.
I agree.
So
I agree. I don't disagree at all. And
yeah, it's scary, it's terrifying.
yeah, because I'll be honest, you know, you know, yeah, I fully am in line with what you said about express. Come on, quit playing. You know it's more than that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
do. I know it's much more than what I do. But
Yeah.
there is also that, is it too much? Right? Because
That's not your problem.
this is okay. Well, let me speak of my dichotomy, right?
All right.
All right. The too much is all right, all right, all right. So there is the grandeur of my God self, right? The fullness of that power. But there is also the humility that is necessity. So
Yeah.
there is a fine line balance that I'm trying to gather before I say "rawr"
Yeah. You know, you also have to remember that if we step out of our humility, God will put you right back in there.
Yeah, I like being put back, so I try to stay in it.
I think it's just always, for me, it's that unconditional love. If we stay in that unconditional love for people, it keeps us, there's no hierarchy in
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
And that's where I stay aligned. And that's where I'm learning to grow confidence and stepping out into the world and showing who I am and what I have to offer is through that lens, and I pray that that keeps me humble and keeps me on that straight and narrow
Yeah.
every day.
And I'm gonna be honest. I tell this to other people, and I know it of myself, but because I am my worst critic,
Yeah.
and I am super critical of myself.
Yeah.
Um, I know that like my decision making is sound. I don't make decisions based off of emotion or, I don't. I'm sure of my decision making, but
Yeah.
yet there is still this "will I go outside the lines" mentality somehow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to give
Well,
me
if you do, there's a lesson
a
there.
reading one day? We'll do a public reading. Let the world see my whole soul. just expose it all.
Well, I mean, we don't have to go that far, but
Yeah. Yeah, that would be an interesting thing. I don't want to be in here too long, but yeah, that would be interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'd
Well,
like to do that.
I'm open to it.
Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting thing. I think I could trust you with my internal working,
Mm,
my
thank
ins.
you.
Yeah, I believe I could.
I receive that trust. Thank you.
Yes, that's what I meant to say earlier. I received that when you said that. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know
Beautiful.
you have websites. You have several things that you would probably like the people to know about. So could you please just share those with the people and how they can
Yeah, of course.
you and
I'm launching my website next week and it's moonbeams.love. That's the website. Yeah, I'm almost done with it.
hey,
I posted my first YouTube channel thing today.
very good.
It's doodle channeling.
Okay.
So I do a little meditation and then I blindly scribble and then I look at it and and then I read the message of my scribbling.
So
So
is it what they call that? What is that? The automatic writing?
maybe I call it just doodle channeling because I'm literally scribbling like a 2-year-old.
Okay.
And then I speak the message and then I show the picture and you can see me doing it. I've got the shorts are going to be on Instagram and TikTok and then you'll see the long full version on YouTube.
Okay.
And then I try to always remind people like if that's not resonating with you and you see something else in that picture that you're hearing, feeling, seeing, follow that.
Yeah.
Follow that.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's open to interpretation for whatever moves you. Don't let me stop you.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I like to remind people all the time that yes, spirituality is very personal, and so
Yes.
it's very intimate. And so what you
Yes.
I cannot qualify.
Yeah.
There's
True.
no qualification out here to say, oh, that didn't really happen.
Yeah. No.
That's just not logical. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so very good, very good.
Yeah.
Well, you have a website, you do tarot reading. Give us some information, and then we'll close this.
Yeah. Some intuitive consulting, like whatever's needed, I am here to just facilitate and hold space for wherever you are on your journey right now.
And how do we contact you?
Um, so probably through Instagram would be an easy way. Moonbeams Love. That's going to be moonbeams.love is my Instagram. It's my TikTok. Moonbeams Love is my YouTube, and moonbeams.love will be my website. So, and
Okay.
there's email, phone number, all my contact information through that, or through my YouTube channel. I'm assuming I'm still learning YouTube and
Yeah,
how it all works.
we're navigating things that are new to us both. So this
Yeah,
tech.
I don't channel social media very easily. That is my weak point right now, but I'm learning and I'm embracing it, and I'm looking forward to building a community there of like-minded people and people wanting to find more of their intuition and their inner voice. So
All right. Well, very good. You heard her where you can find her. MoonBeamsLove dot this dot that dot all of the
dot
all
love,
yeah.
moonbeams dot love.
Yeah, and you can find her on website on Instagram,
Yeah,
Facebook,
yeah,
YouTube. Is
yeah,
that it?
yeah.
All right.
I'm popping up everywhere.
Okay. Well, we'll be looking for you, and I appreciate you coming on the show and giving your
Thank you.
insight and sharing your story. And I will definitely be looking forward to getting my reading and my personal insights on my own situation. So,
I look
thank
forward to that too.
yeah, very good.
And
And
thank you.
as I always say before I leave my show, all roads lead to spirit, and I will see you guys
Mm,
next time.
yes. Blessed be.
All right, I stopped recording.